Hi guys, today I'm going to be reviewing Taeyang Undertaker, and I just want to show you in comparison the skin tones of the two dolls I got at the sample sale. This is Velko, who I just reviewed on my channel. It would be the video just before this one, and then this is Undertaker, and you can see that he has more of a normal skin tone for Taeyang's. There are variations of skin tones within Taeyang's, but I often don't really notice the differences. I know that my Taeyang Natsumi has quite a yellow cast to him. This guy, relative to Velko, his skin tone is a little bit more yellow or orangey. But as opposed to pink shading, he has gray shading, so he still has a gray look even though he doesn't have that gray undertone. So I'm going to show you this doll in detail and tell you a little bit of information about him and why I got him, and point out there are a few things about this particular Taeyang that are quite different than other Taeyangs. So I'm going to point out those differences as we go along. So here is Undertaker in his full stock outfit. I'm going to show you how he looks up close in just a moment, but I just wanted to give you a sense of how he looks all in one shot. He's very interesting. There's lots of interesting things to say about him. So this is Taeyang Undertaker Black Butler. He was released in December of 2015. And he's part of the Book of Circus series, which is based on an anime that I've never seen. I'm not a big anime fan, but I thought he looked really, really interesting, and so I decided to buy him. He was on the Groove sample sale, so I got him for fairly inexpensive, and there were several things about him that really caught my eye and made me want to add him to my collection. He's definitely a standout character who looks quite a bit different from all of the other Taeyangs that I have. So let's get started, and I do have his hands off of him right now, just because I don't want them to stain. I will tell you all about him. I'm going to remove his hat just while I talk about him in general, and then I'll go through his stock after I talk about him. So I chose him, as I mentioned, because he is quite a bit different than some of the other Taeyangs that are out there, and I'm always on the lookout for interesting, unique dolls to add to my collection. He has a lot of character. If you look at the lines around his eyes, he almost looks like perhaps he's an older man, and he has beautiful long gray hair. And normally when a Taeyang comes with long hair, my first impulse is that I want to cut it, but for this doll, I think he has this real kind of spiritual look to him, and I think that the long hair really adds to that. So I'm actually going to keep his hair long, at least for now, and I will talk in more detail about the wig. It's not the best wig in the world, but I will talk about it in a few minutes. So that's what made me want to add him, that and the fact that the price was really right with him. He was part of the sample sale at Groove, and so I couldn't resist adding such a unique character to my collection for such a great price. And he is still available as of the taping of this video at Groove, at the US Groove website, for a considerable savings because he is a sample doll. He has a beautiful face. There are some very interesting things about his face that are quite obvious, and some other things that are a little bit more subtle. So we have a large scar that runs the length of his face. It goes from the corner of his faceplate here. It goes all the way diagonally across his face. It skips over his eye and picks up again and disappears under his hair. So that obviously really sets him apart. Both of the boys that I bought on the sample sale, they both had scars on their faces because Velko has those two scars on his nose as well. This scar is quite a bit more subtle. It's just very similar to his skin tone, and it has that look like it's been stitched up, I guess. It's much less realistic than Velko's scar. He has gray eyelashes gray eyebrows, and they're very, very thin, narrow brows. And as I mentioned, he has extra lines above his eyes, like in around the creases of his eyelids, and it really does give him a bit of a wise, older look to him. He's going to be an older doll in my collection. And his face-up is quite interesting. He has a yellow base, but his blushing, instead of pink, is in gray. So you'll see that the shading under and above and around his eye is in gray. The shading on his cheek is gray, and his other cheek as well. He has only a few little eyelashes right here in the corner, a bit of a cat eye, and eyeliner all the way around. And another really interesting and different thing about him is that he has gray eyelashes. Look at that. Isn't that interesting? Now his pegs work fine, but they are hard. I just have to look as I put them in to make sure that they go in. Now his eyelids are shaded, very slightly shaded in gray. And as you can see, those gray eyelashes look quite different from anything we've ever seen before on a Taeyang. I quite like them. I can understand that not everybody would, but they are the kind of thing that could very easily be replaced with standard regular eyelashes if they bothered you that much, but I quite like his nice pale look. His eyes do move from side to side, and you might notice that his pupil is quite a bit smaller than the standard pull-up pupil and Taeyang pupil. So see, Velcro's pupils are pretty average sized, and Undertaker's pupils are quite tiny in comparison. Undertaker has the dimensional kind of eye chips that are a piece of clear plastic with the ridges are on the back side of it to create the little lines in his eyes, as opposed to Velcro's are painted right on the surface and they're opaque. And these ones are clear. And they're a beautiful greeny green, I guess it's kind of like a very light green color, like almost lime green eyes. His lips are almost nude, very, very subtle shading on his lips, and he has a very peaceful smile. He has a very peaceful face. Oh, I think he's really quite remarkable. He's really lovely, quite nice. He does have a regular body that comes very, very wrapped in plastic. And the one thing I'll note about his body, there are two differences about his body. He has a scar on his neck. It goes all the way around his entire neck. And it's the same kind of a scar as on his face. You can see it right there above my fingernail. And his hands come with black nail polish and a ring. And my ring doesn't seem to have any kind of gem on it. It just has a flat piece of metal. And I suspect it once had a gem and it's just gotten lost. This was a sample doll. So even his hands were wrapped in plastic. So I don't know how he was displayed as a sample doll, but he is missing his ring, or the gem from his ring. And I did check the piece of plastic fairly carefully, and I can't feel anything in there. I'll have oh, you know what? I found it. It's right here. Oh, perfect. Good. So all I need to do is take a little piece of glue and add that onto his ring. Oh, perfect. I'm very pleased that I found that. Yay! So his ring will look like this once I get it on there, except straight, not crooked. Something like that. Put this up here so I don't lose it. There. So now he does come all dressed in black, and I'm not going to say much about his character because I don't watch the anime or I haven't read it, and so I know absolutely nothing about it, but his character does sound really interesting and mysterious. And from what I've seen from pictures online, it seems like this doll is a really good representation of the character, and I guess that's really all that I can really say. I know that his eyes are usually covered by either his hair or his hat or both, and so he has these long bangs that are kind of sticking out a little bit, and I think that's just because of the way that he was packaged. And he also has a kink in his hair as well that I'm hoping will come out as he adjusts to life outside of his packaging. I hope that it relaxes a little bit. So the layers of his bangs kind of come down to around his ears on both sides, and his wig is quite thin. And when you look at the back of his wig, it has 3 distinct layers. So a bunch of the hairs stop here, a bunch of the hairs stop around here, and then the rest of the hairs come down like this in these wispy bits at the bottom. His wig feels an awful lot like Bloody Red Hood's. It's straight and it's thin like Bloody Red Hood's wig is, and you can see quite a lot of wig cap in several different places. I think I will re-wig him, but I'll re-wig him in a gray, almost the same style. I'm thinking maybe a long gray shaggy wig, but just a different wig, just for quality reasons as opposed to for the look, and I think I will still keep him in fairly long hair. He came with some accessories in a little plastic bag, including his hat came in a separate bag, and then he has this silk scarf, and it feels like the kind of fiber cloth that you clean glasses with, and it's very heavy. It's quite a heavy fabric, very similar to the kind that you clean your glasses with, actually. And then he also came with a necklace with 2 strings of beads. And again, he has a very spiritual look, from the robes that he's wearing to the scarf and the beads. It all looks very religiously oriented. So his beads look like this. There's one strand that's longer than the other by the look of it, yeah, which helps them to hang nicely. And there's this kind of beigey, pinky, browny color. And his outer robe has all of these little discs, like little pendants on it, that have different patterns, like different little designs. So there's one that looks like that, one that has a cross and some, I don't know, a little bouquet of flowers. Some of these are very nature inspired. And it is gold, and these are quite heavy, like they feel like they're metal, not plastic, and the chain is definitely metal and not plastic as well. His coat, or his robe, has these 4 plastic buttons right here, but only one attaches, and it attaches with a snap. I'm going to pull off his coat. Oh, the other notable thing about his coat, it goes to about mid-calf, and it has very, very long sleeves so that his hands actually disappear under the sleeves. And that also, I think, adds to the spiritual look of him. So, and this robe is actually not a very nice fabric. It's kind of that polyester feeling. It does hang quite nice, but it doesn't feel very nice. It seems like it would pick pretty easily. So I would be pretty careful with it. Now, I just had his hands off because I had just redressed him. So I'll pop his hands back on so that he looks a little bit more presentable and less strange. Yeah, look at him. He's very, very nice. Now, this shirt underneath it's softer than a cotton. I don't think it's cotton. I think it's also like a brushed maybe polyester or something. It has a soft, smooth feel to it, but I don't think that it's cotton. It has more stretch than cotton has. And the thing that's notable about this shirt, it's in some ways it's very good quality because it's really nicely fitted. As you can see, it fits him quite nice. I like how long it is. I like this kind of tunic look. It's actually really lovely cut. But what I don't like about it is that these buttons are little stickers by the look of it. They're not actually, they don't go through the fabric. They're just on the surface of the fabric. They look like little stickers or stick-on studs. And the same with these buttons down his cuff. Those are all stickers, so I'd be very, very careful. It doesn't look like they'd pick off all that easily, but I would be very careful handling him for that reason. And what I really love about this shirt is the detailing on the collar. And having the detail on the collar brings your attention to his neck, which has that scar. So I like that. And also on the cuffs. And he looks very fancy and dressed up, right? Between his ring and his fingernail polish and the buttons, he's quite nice. So now let's have a look at his pants. His pants are the same kind of polyester type of feeling. Again, both the shirt and the pants, they feel like the same, and the jacket is just a slightly different version. These are more polished and smooth and seem less likely to pick, and this seems quite likely to pick. Like even the little bits on my fingers, like the little hard, like little hangnails on my fingers are catching on it, so I'd be very, very careful with the jacket. His pants have a Velcro closure in the back, and they go all the way down. And then he has these boots, and I love the boots. They're quite nice. They have a lot of buckles and strips of faux leather going across them, and they have these cute little zippers, and I haven't seen a pull-up or a Taeyang boot that actually zippers. The zipper is quite delicate and thin, and I need to use both hands. I need to hold the top with one hand and then pull the zipper down with the other hand, but they do come off and on quite well, and that's what the sole of his shoes look like. Again, here is his hand up close, if you're interested in that. Really nice detailing. And if you're curious about how the ring is on, it kind of wraps around and disappears. It seems like they kind of wedged it in there, like it's not a full circle. Let me see if I can show you this. There. I hope you can see. So it kind of disappears into between his fingers there. It seems like it's just wedged in there. His hair, I forgot to mention that there is a braid amongst his long hair. So let's talk about his pretty awesome hat. So his hat is reinforced with a piece of stiff, maybe cardboard or molded paper, I don't know. And then it has this outer fabric that's very similar to the fabric of the coat. So similar polyester-ish type of fabric. And I like that you can really scrunch up his hat like with lots of bunches of fabric on it like this, and then you can put this over from whichever side you want. Like you could have it hang out the back or put it on the side. You could like pull it quite a lot, or really bunch it up a lot. And the rim of the hat has some wiring in it so that you can kind of bend it and get it looking the way that you want it to look, and it will hold. So that's kind of nice. The one thing that I don't like is that you can see this edge when he wears the hat almost from almost every angle. You can see the edge of the kind of like that unfinished edge there, which isn't the nicest, but so see what I mean? You can see that unfinished edge right there. I'd rather if you couldn't see it, but it's okay. If you wanted this hat to not cover quite so much of his face, I mean, I think that's part of his character, is that his face is often covered, but if you didn't want that, you could put something inside of his hat, like a crumpled up piece of paper. There you go. And then it just kind of holds some space for you so that you can appreciate more of his beautiful face, because he is quite beautiful. And then you can put the hair more so that it hangs in his eyes, which I think looks nice with a fringy bang like that. So yeah, I think he looks quite nice like this. The only thing that I will, the only hesitation or negative thing that I will point out, besides the fact that his wig is really not that great quality, is that because his eyelid is not lined, he has this kind of slightly sleepy, droopy eyelid look, because you can see a little bit of that unfinished, and it's not really unfinished because it's gray, but it just looks like there's a weird bit of eyelid showing there. You see what I mean? Just that little bit of eyelid there. And between the gray eyelashes and that little bit of exposed eyelid, you know, I see that he looks a little different. And so that look might not be for everyone. I quite like him though. And I think I like his hat with the stuffing inside of it to keep it up off of his pretty face. He's so beautiful. So if you were to buy him not in a sample sale, he would come in his box with his stand and his card, and his coat comes on him, and then for accessories we have the hat, we have the scarf, and we have the necklace. I think this is a great doll for anyone who is a fan of the anime, certainly. And in addition to that, I think he's a great doll for people like me who are just looking for something a little off the beaten track or a little bit different. He certainly has that appeal of being very unique and having a dark, brooding, interesting look to him. And so I think he's great for that. I'm not sure that he would make a great first Taeyang or first pull-up doll, just because he is so specialized and there are so many things about him that are not typical, including the white eyelashes and the unlined eyelids, and the fact that he has a scar, and his outfit is so black that it's going to have to definitely be color fasted, or he's going to be stained quite badly. I'm pretty sure that he'll be stained quite badly. He doesn't have a great wig. So I think that all of those downfalls that he has are worth it if you are either a really big fan of the anime or if you just really love this intriguing look that he brings to your collection. But if you're looking for a more neutral, typical Taeyang, he's probably not the greatest choice. I always say that you should get the doll that appeals to you no matter what advice people give you about which doll is the best, but I still get asked which doll is the best, so I always like to weigh in a little bit on whether he's a good first doll or who is he good for. So you can still get Undertaker at Pull-Up Style, and you can get him at Groove, and he's still available as of the recording of this video as a sample doll at Groove, so you can get him for a discount. Because he's a collaboration doll, his regular price is a little bit higher than the regular prices of other dolls, so that's something to keep in mind as well. So I'm really curious about what you think of Undertaker. Do you have him? If you do, how do you like him? What do you see as the pros and cons? And what is your story for him? And what are you doing with him? So thanks so much for watching, and have a really great dolly week.